Hi guys, it's Wombat, and before I get into this video and what this video is about, I need to thank all of you, every single one of you, and I also need to make some special thanks to 4 of you. The first one is a person I should have thanked yesterday already. My only excuse is I was very tired when I published my video on the Oregon DLC. That's the only excuse I have for not thanking Martin in the UK for sending me his ATS profile. In a previous video I did on ATS, I requested or asked you for a ATS profile that had covered 100% of the map, or at least as much as possible, and Martin was kind enough to send me his profile, and I didn't thank him for that in the video yesterday, and I do apologize, Martin. I really do. But I'm thanking you now, and I hope it isn't too late. The second person I need to thank today is Doomer Days. Doomer Days and I was talking, and he was going to test the Russian Open Spaces English name file for me. He did, and reported back kindly enough that it works very well. I also need to think. I do need to think. I need to thank Fanpunk Rocka for an awesome job. He made me aware of the 2 road connections to ROS that we will be adding today. I had no idea there were 2 road connections. None of them are from Zona, by the way. That's a 3rd road connection that will eventually be ready for ROS 7. But he made me aware of 2 road connections that I didn't even know existed for ROS 7. And we're going to add both of them today, thanks to Fanpunk Rocka. And finally, I need to thank Alta Tension MX for pointing out exactly what caused issues when I spent the entire morning today trying to add EAA to the big map setup. He pointed out that Sinop, the city in Turkey, was the reason for EAA not loading with the entire big map setup. So when he did that, I was able to then do some testing and some fixing, and I sorted it out, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without Alta Tension MX. So thank you very much, Alta. And in today's video we will do 5 things. We will add English names for the Russian Open Spaces map. We will add 2 road connections to ROS. We will unfortunately have to remove China from the big map setup. China won't fit, but your jaws will drop to the floor when you see what we are replacing it with. We are replacing it with EAA, and for us to be able to do that, we will first have to do some map modding ourselves. There are 2 ways of adding EAA to the big map setup. You could either just remove Turkey and the road connection to Turkey and the ferry connection to Turkey, and if you do that you will be able to load EAA. But I'm going to show you how to modify the definitions files for Turkey so that you can have both Turkey and EAA on the map at the same time. So I hope you go down that path with me and do that modification to your Turkey def file, because the map looks absolutely bonkers when you have done that. It is incredibly huge. I mean, we don't have Promods yet, we don't have Polar Rebuilding, we don't have a lot of other maps that are relying on Promods, and still this is already gonna be the biggest map probably I've ever created. So let's just get started, shall we? So you go to your mod folder and you find the YKS Team EU Turkey map def.scs file. And then you extract it. And since I'm using WinRAR, I'm going to double click it, open it in WinRAR, and then select unpack. And by default, it's going to be in the mod folder, and the folder within the mod folder is going to be called YKS Team EU Turkey map def. Now I'm going to add a copy to that, and then OK. And the reason I'm choosing the name copy, you can name it whatever you want. The point is, it can't be, or it shouldn't be, the same name of that folder that you have with the SCS file itself, because that's going to be pretty confusing when you go into the mod manager later. So in my mod folder now, I have the YKS Team EU Turkey map def copy. So I double click it, I go to def, I open the city custom tour.sii, and somewhere here we have a file called synup.sii. So one thing I guess we could do, I'm not going to do that, but I think you could exclude it, just exclude synup and ignore it. But I'm going to rename it synup1.sii, and then I'm going to close that file. The next thing you do is go into your city folder, and here you'll find that file as synup.sii, and we're going to rename it synup1.sii. And we double click it again and change city data, city.synup to city.synup1, and close. Save, of course. That's it. Now, if you were to distribute this as a mod, you would probably repackage the file and rename it SCS, but we are just doing this mod for ourselves, so there's absolutely no reason to pack the file as an SCS file. You can just leave the folder in there. It will work just as any other mod would. So we head into the game. And here in the mod manager, we will start by looking at the road connections and the name file for ROS. As you can see, we have placed the 3 files just above ROS. You can see you have a ROS map down there, and then you have ROS, and just above the vehicles truck file you have the 2 road connections for ROS. One is for Rusmap and the other one is for the Great Steppe. This is for the Great Steppe. And then you have the name file, which is for version 6.0, but that's okay. It still works with version 7. And that is what Doomer was testing for me. The second thing we need to do is then correct the YKS files. So we have the YKS Team Turkey map def file here. We are going to replace it with a file that is probably at the upper left corner of your mod manager, and there it is, the YKS Team Turkey map def copy. So we add that to the mod manager, and we then put it next to the original def file. There it is. So we remove the original def file, and our new def file has now replaced the original file. And of course we will need to add EAA And the files are up here, and they have now replaced, as you can see already, the China files. So I just took out the 5 China files and replaced them with EAA. The first thing you'll notice is that my map looks slightly different than it normally does, and that is because I have added a background map. Because what China did was introduce the background map, the original background map that ROS otherwise removed. And since we removed China, we don't have a background map anymore. So I just added one. There's a link to this one in the description, and put it on top of the mod manager. So here you have ROS now with English city names. And you have the regular map, as you can see. There is everything you expect to find. And then you have EAA. And by God, is this a huge map. We have now 473 cities on EAA. That's up from 320 or so in the last version. In version 5, we have 31,000 new kilometers of roads. New roads. Of those 31,000 kilometers of new roads, 3,000 or so are gravel roads. And of the old roads, about 3,500 kilometers have been recreated. We have new countries on EAA. EAA is no longer Brazil and a couple of cities just outside of Brazil. EAA is being transformed into the South American map. And now we have cities in a huge variety of different countries: Uruguay, Paraguay, Chile, Argentina. We have cities in the Amazonas. We have cities... Yeah, you just have to try it out for yourself. I mean, the map is so big that I wanted my big map setup out, but there is no way I can manage to give you a even brief presentation of EAA in just a few minutes. I will try to make a video presentation or review of EAA at some point, but right now I'm just bringing it up to the big map setup so that you can start hauling there yourself. The size of the map is pretty interesting. I added just EAA to a ETS profile I have that I downloaded off from the internet that had 100% of the map discovered. And once I had added EAA 5.0, only 51% were still discovered. So what that tells us is that EAA is as big as the entire SCS base map and all the 4 DLCs combined. It is probably even bigger, but because of course that doesn't include all hidden roads, and there's a lot of them on EAA. But of course, again, the drawback is that we aren't able to haul on China anymore. As you could see, that there is simply no room for China on the big map setup anymore. EAA takes up all the space. I will try to fit Canada in there, but I honestly don't think even that will work. So we are probably just gonna see EAA on the left side or the western side of the map from now on. And I really hope it's going to work once we add Promods as well. It was a tight squeeze with version 4.6 and Promods. Let's see how it works now with EAA 5.0 and the future version of Promods for ETS2 132. I hope it works. If it doesn't, we'll just have to make it work. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you are able to modify your Turkey def file. If you have any issues with it other than opening the SII file, which I open with Notepad, and I recommend you do so too. If you have problems associating the files with Notepad and the SES files with WinRAR or 7-zip, let me know and I'll try to guide you through how to do that. Hopefully you're able to figure that out yourself. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again next time. Take care, guys. Bye bye.